All right, hey everybody. Welcome to another business training. This is Charlie Goddard here with my man Zach Burks.
Hey everyone.
And so today we're talking about the simple search technique for staying ahead of your competition and closing more deals. Um, I'm actually going to go into the technique in a little bit more detail, but before we do, I want to tell you sort of the birth of this technique and why we do what we do. So Zach and I were just talking about, if you were on listening to our banter before we started recording, we were talking about the difference between sort of the past even a decade ago and where things are now and how quickly everything seems to be changing. And so, back in the day, if you wanted to find anything about a company, chances are you'd see a good ad, you pick up the phone, you'd talk to the salesperson would explain everything that you needed to know about the company, and you'd make a decision having talked to one, two, or three different salespeople. Now it's a little bit different. Now everybody's doing the research on their computers and on their cell phones. And so we have to assume that our average client has actually done more research about our company and their alternatives than most of the time our salespeople have. And that's an actual fact. Now, the average person is looking at between 12 and 13 different sources before they make a decision on who they're going to do business with. This is really important because I think many entrepreneurs forget the fact that they're not the only option available. And that people are doing their homework when they understand the buying cycle and realize that, wait a minute, I'm actually being interviewed here. That my client has all the power. They're comparing me to 11 or 12 different other people, right? And so how do I stand out above my competition? And if you were to poll a number of different business owners, and even those of you who are on today's call, I jump on the phone and I ask you, have you ghost shopped your competition? Do you know why you're much better than them? And and how do you stand out? Most people never really took the opportunity to go through the same sort of buyer's journey as their clients do. So this is a really good exercise for you to be aware of how your competition is compared against you and how your buyers are running through it in their minds. And so what they're trying to do is trying to get the answer to three questions. Number one, what solution is best for me? Who is the most capable? And is this a smart decision for me? So those are the three main questions that your ideal clients are asking themselves before they make a decision on who to do business with. And so that question, what solution is best for me, ultimately what they're trying to do is they're researching options and alternatives. Look, just because you have, say, a website design agency, right, doesn't mean that they're actually going to hire a design agency. They'll also be looking at potentially doing it themselves. They may be looking at alternatives like Upwork, finding some other freelance work, and so forth. HubSpot would be an alternative. So they're looking at all their options, and they're trying to find a solution for what they believe to be their unique problem. Everybody, all buyers, what they're trying to do is they're trying to find a solution to their problem. Though the funny thing is when you poll people and ask them whether or not they feel like their situation is unique, you're going to find the majority of people find their problem to be unique, or they feel like their problem is unique. And then finally, they want to be confident in their ability to achieve the result. That's the key word there, is they need to be confident in their ability to achieve the result. Many times, by the time somebody's come to talk to you, they've kind of they're down in the dumps a little bit. Their self-esteem is on shaky grounds. Their confidence level and their ability to actually achieve what they hope to achieve is real low. In fact, right now, more than any other time in history, what we're finding is that buyers are I'm trying to think of the right word. They're at the lowest point that they have been in history in believing in themselves and their ability to achieve a result. And that's because every time you jump on Facebook or you email or you look at the different ads, there's always somebody telling you the reason why you're not where you need to be today is because you didn't try this. The reason why you haven't lost the weight you wanted to lose is because you don't have this pill. It's because you don't have this shake weight, this, that, and so forth. The reason why you're not making the amount of money that you should be making is because you're not using a webinar funnel or a Facebook funnel or a Twitter funnel or, and so forth. And there's always somebody out there saying the reason why you're not there where you haven't received the result is because you're not doing something else. And they've tried many things and have had lackluster performance. And so now they're starting to doubt whether or not they're ever going to be able to do it for themselves. So again, they're asking themselves, what solution is best for me? They're researching options and alternatives, looking for a solution to their unique problem. And I got to be really confident in their ability to achieve the results. So the next question that they're doing is trying to find out who's the most capable. And they want to find someone who understands their unique problem. In other words, what's your expertise? Zach and I were going back and forth. In fact, Zach, was it 1:30 in the morning that you sent me an email highlighting niches, correct? Is that about right? 1:30 in the morning?
It was 12:30 your time. To be fair, 9:30 my time.
So, all right, 9:30. That's a little bit early. I got well into my Z's by that point.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess. One day I know I'm going to wake you up and I'm going to feel really bad. But yeah.
No, I silenced my phone. So you're all good, man. You're all good. But that Zach, we deal with this issue all the time, right? I mean, people are always looking for somebody who's going to understand them. We work with a lot of agencies, so people want to make sure that we understand agencies. For the same reason, when people think of the magnitude of their problem, there's this old saying about a bleeding neck, right? If you have like a hangnail or a splinter in your finger, you'll go to anybody. You'll walk to the CVS care people and you'll get them to pull the splinter out of your finger. You're not necessarily going to go to find a splinter specialist. But now all of a sudden, if like you've got a tear in your neck and your neck is starting to bleed, and this is like a really, really big problem, you're going to find somebody who you think is going to be most likely to be able to help you in that situation. Or, you got a tumor or whatever that might be, right? If it's a matter of life and death, if the problem is serious enough, you're going to find the specialist and you'll pay for it. So they want to find someone who understands a unique problem. Niching is one of the best ways to do this. And they want to be confident in your ability to achieve the result, also known as proof, right? So what kind of proof do you have? Demonstration, testimonials, case studies, and so forth.
Yeah, Charlie, before you move forward, can I make a comment?
Please.
So I was going back through some Sandler stuff yesterday or the day before, and they quoted a study. It was like a 2018 study that showed the biggest fear for people hiring a consultant or a third-party vendor, right? So that's not necessarily a consultant, but somebody outside of their own business to do something for them, was that person wouldn't understand their business, right? And that was the number one fear. And in my experience, we've often focused on pain, like getting pain, and if your prospect doesn't have pain, then they won't, take action. I think more important than that, actually, nowadays is, of course, getting pain, but like understanding their solution and their pain, right? Like demonstrating that acutely what they're going through and that you are the expert to solve that particular problem. Not just, well, we help businesses, with consulting services to expand technology, like something really broad, like that doesn't speak to a specific problem. But that study kind of stood out to me, and just wanted to make that point. That was the number one fear above anything else in hiring a consultant, was that they wouldn't understand their business.
I believe that. I definitely believe that. Yeah, and with that, that's why they got to be confident in your ability to achieve the result and proof. And then, the last question is this a smart decision for me? In other words, is the price fair? What happens if I need support? You're going to be there for me. What do others think? So they're going to definitely look at the reviews and see what others might think. And so what we do is we have a checklist that we would look at, and we compare ourselves against our competition. And these are the type of questions that we're going to ask ourselves, and I encourage you to write these down. So does their website grab my attention? So this is us now talking. We're looking at our competition. Does our competition's website grab our attention? How does it do it? What is their primary promise? Is it better than the one that I have? So we're comparing us versus them because we're going through the buyer's journey. We're looking at our website. We're looking at their website. And the way that we do this actually is, let's say I'm looking for a web design person. So can you see, Zach, can you see did I take you to another screen? I want to make sure that it's sharing correctly.
Yep.
So I don't know who this person is, but I just wanted to type something in there, a web design company. So, I would look at, if I had a web design company, I would compare my web design company to this. And the first question is, does the website grab my attention? And, maybe it's pretty. I can't say that it actually grabs my attention, so mine might grab attention better. And then we kind of go through, each one of the different websites that we have. Is it grabbing our attention? How is it grabbing our attention? It might be an image. It might be a call out. This is grabbing my attention a little bit more because of a movie. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are the primary choice of our buyers. And so when we know that our average buyer is looking at, 12 to 13 different sources, then I want to compare myself against each one of them. So I compare myself over here. Does my website stand out more than theirs? No, then what do I need to do to fix it? What about the next competition? Does my website stick out more? Yes, no, what do I need to do to fix it? Go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one, and so forth. And so the more homework we do, the better our chances of us being the obvious choice and converting more buyers. So, whoops, here we go. I'm click happy right now. So what is their primary promise? Is it better? What are their claims? Are they stronger? What kind of claims they make? And if this is an agency, there are some people who are making claims. So elevate the customer experience for the world's most beloved brands. So there you go. That's a claim. Is their claim stronger than mine? I don't know. We want to dig around and see what are they saying about themselves and how does that compare against me?
Charlie, let me take a step back. I think the websites are helpful, but more like dig into what those questions mean. So go back to the slide, because hopping from one site to the next is it doesn't really define the question. So what is their primary promise? What do you mean by that? Is it so that means like what is their big promise that they're going to deliver, right?
Right. So if we look at a web design company, you might see some of those that are promising to have more leads. You might so there'd be that's a great question, by the way. They might be saying, more leads. That might be their big promise, that they're conversion focused. Another promise might be that they're more design focused. Another one might be more SEO focused.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a promise.
Mm-hmm.
I think I pulled up one, so here's their promise, identity design. That's really a weak promise, right? I mean, they're just saying that's what they say they do.
Yeah. So claims are maybe a little more maybe granular, or so if you can go back to that slide. So what are their claims? Are they stronger? So primary promise is probably like a bigger picture, and then the claims, from my understanding and perspective, are a little bit more deeper, right? So then, we help businesses grow their company, and then we scale down a little bit further. We might say we help them acquire clients, increase their retainers, scale with systems, things of that nature. So it's kind of a bigger one, and then the claims are like, as you scroll down the website, they're a little bit more deeper and specific, like the process, almost like this is the process that we're going to do to help you grow their business.
Yeah, and you could see that as far as that claim, right? Crisp Video does a great job with that. Crisp Video sees an average return of investment of 300% and a 2 to 10 times increase in their average case values, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a claim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, their claim might be their process is better, their process is stronger. So that could be their claim. Are they unique? This is another way. Process could define them as unique, but how is this better? So if we look at one to another, you're going to find the majority of your competition that they're just saying the same thing as everybody else. Nobody's really unique. Everybody's just kind of,
Yeah, if actually, I had a story I wanted to tell you on
Yeah.
that note. So I went to an event actually once where there was a positioning expert who asked the crowd to write down, I think it was like two statements as to why your business is unique and like what you do, basically. You had to write it down in pen. So you couldn't add it later, right? Because like other people listen and they're like, oh, that sounds good, write it down. But you had to write it down in pen, ink, and then pass it to your neighbor. And then, of course, people are like, oh, pass it further down because I don't want, anyone to know this is mine. But of course, you need to pass to your neighbor. And then he would ask somebody to stand up and read, what their neighbor said, right? So they would say like, well, I help. We create, visually, aesthetic, whatever, right? So like some sort of design firm. And then he would ask the people that read it, is that different from yours? And almost every single person was like, nope, that's the same, right? Like, and they weren't reading their claim, they were reading somebody else's, but it could define their business. And the point being made was that a lot of times people are the same, and there's not really like unique positioning that is out there. I mean, people do it, but it takes, like this is doing, it takes some intention. You have to be intentional about it and think about it and be unique. And yeah, so that was just kind of something that stuck in my head, and I actually was just thinking about this yesterday. So it's funny that we're talking about it. And then the last thing I'll say on their claims, some of the things that you might see are that are really good, right? Like, so if I'm going through this website, I'm like, man, these are really good. They'll have some claims that are, really strong and might be specific, but then they might have like another like section down below that are claims that are just kind of general marketing type claims, or general like claims in that like ease of mind, or peace of mind, right? Like ease of use. We help you, feel confident or clear or clarity, like these sort of things. So they'll combine the two, and those collectively are really strong because it kind of brings in some emotion, and you think like, wow, like I really want that peace of mind because I have no idea what I'm doing, so that sort of thing. So that's the other thing I was thinking about when you were mentioning claims. That sometimes it'd be very specific, but then also you might see people who do, kind of more higher level type of stuff.
Yeah, faster, more secure,
Yeah.
healthier, better security, higher conversions, more revenue. I think I already said more convenient, but absolutely.
Yeah, you get the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so then, how have they demonstrated their expertise? So how do you know that they're an expert? What is their price and terms? So again, we're looking at, this is the sort of a little cheat sheet, right? So I'm comparing one competitor to another. So I say, grabs attention. Who grabs attention more, us or them? I might say us. Great. Woo! What about the primary promise? Who's the stronger? Us versus them. Theirs is stronger. Us versus them. Us versus them. And so we're constantly doing a comparison. We'll put their name and their URL. And then so now we're looking at, these are the competitors that we're being compared against. Is it going to be more green or is it going to be more red? And we're also going to see, where are we weakest? And maybe you're going to find that the primary promise is weak. Your primary promise as compared to everybody else's is very, very weak. That tells you need to work on it a little bit more. Maybe your unique advantage isn't strong enough, or your guarantee isn't strong enough. So if you go through this and you find out that most of it is green, then at the end of the day, you know that if your competitors or if your ideal buyer is going to come across your website, you're easily going to stand out as the obvious choice. Now, there are a lot of ways in which you can go about do this and demonstrating expertise and whatnot. I mean, there is a reason why Zach and I are doing these free business trainings. Not only is it the ability for us to demonstrate more value to you, it's a way that we can share expertise, create rapport, stay top of mind, a whole bunch of different things. But creating content is a great way to demonstrate expertise and to share value. So then the next thing is, how do their features and benefits compare to mine? What's their offer? How can I make mine even more compelling? Is it guarantee stronger than mine? How can I make mine stronger? And What can make our company stand out to our ideal client and be a no-brainer? Again, we're looking at our website. The easiest way that we've done it, we pull up our website, and then we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, comparing us versus a competitor, us versus a competitor. We're putting ourselves through the buyer's journey, and we're going through to figure out what we need to do. Now, all your salespeople and anybody on your sales team, you should have them go through a similar experience, because they're having a sales call with somebody that's already done their research. If they need to position your company ahead of your competitors, how do they know how to position it ahead if they've never actually gone through the buyer's journey themselves to see how they're being compared? So food for thought. And that's kind of it's a really simple rudimentary technique, which we call sort of the simple search technique, which is simply going through your buyer's journey and comparing yourself versus your 10 to 12, 13 other competitors. Figure out what makes you better, what makes you more obvious. And the hardest thing for you is to remain objective, to be able to look at your website and compare yourself versus somebody else, find out what needs to happen. I like to Google myself. I like to Google my competitors, and we want to see, as somebody who's looking for reviews, what are people saying about me that I might not already know? What are people saying about my competitors that, maybe may sway them in one direction or another? So really, really kind of cool and important stuff. We only have a couple minutes left, so I want to open it up to the floor. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw that in the chat box. Cool. Did you find did you find value from today's presentation? Got it. All right. Hey, well, if you have any questions beyond what we talked about today, you guys know how to reach us. You can always find us on our website at predictableprofits.com. Feel free to hit us up, schedule a strategy session, hit us on live chat, whatever you want to do. Depending on where you're watching this, feel free to hit the subscribe button. We're going to have a lot more business trainings available to you coming up in the near future. So that wraps up today. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.